Okay. So today we are going to discuss a new concept, but the basic for this new concept we have already discussed in the previous classes. Suppose you see this entire thing, the rest of the unit can be named with the sentence tests of significance. So what is this actually? What is this test of significance? So in the tests of significance, there are mainly two different things are there. So the first one is called the estimation. And the second one is called the testing of hypothesis. Testing of hypothesis. So in the first one, estimation. What do we mean by estimation? Here, suppose we have a population. We have a population, and for this population, there is a statistical parameter which we do not know. The statistical parameter may be the mean or it may be the variance. Since we are dealing only at the basic level, so mostly it is either it is a mean of the population or variance of the population. Okay. Suppose assume that mean or statistic or the variance of the population is not known to us. We do not know. Okay. Now, so the basic idea is to estimate, give you an estimation for the population mean or the variance mean. How can we give some estimation? Randomly, we cannot give some number, right? There should be some process. So here, the process needs a random sample of so and so size. This is what we call the random sample. Random sample from the given population. Okay. Now for this random sample, whatever the estimation you want for the population, whether it is you want to estimate the mean for the population or you want to estimate the variance of the given population. Okay, so that depends on the situation. Sometimes we may be knowing the mean, but we may not be knowing about what is the variance of the population. Sometimes variance might be known, but sometimes mean may be not known. Okay, sometimes both of them may not be known to us. Okay, so in all those cases, how to give an estimation? How to give an estimation for the population statistics? Okay, so for that purpose, we need to take a random sample and obtain the same information from the random sample. Suppose if you want to estimate the population mean, estimate the random sample of estimate the mean for this random sample. Estimate the mean for the random sample. Okay, so whatever it is there, whatever we will get it, the same thing we will assign to the population. Okay, obtain the same information, that is either sample mean or variance And once you got this information, you obtain the same thing to the, you assign the same thing to the population. Okay. So this process is generally, we call it as estimation. But of course, it is not as simple as that it is explained here. Okay. So it needs a lot of other things to consider, so many things to consider. For example, now it comes, if you ask me to give the estimation for the population mean, I will take this sample, maybe I will call it as sample 1, but some other person may come and some other person may take another sample, S2. Okay. Now for this sample, whatever it comes, that may be not the same for the other sample also. For the other sample, the mean maybe, the sample mean may be different. So in those situations, in those scenarios, which sample mean we should assign to the population mean? Okay. So there we need some theory which will be discussed little later. Okay, I think you understood the problem. I hope you understood the difficulty. Okay, so in by choosing the different samples, how can we estimate which of the sample means that we should give as we should assign for the population mean or the population variance. Okay, so there is some process. We'll come back to that process little later. Now, what about this testing of hypothesis? The second type. Testing of hypothesis means here also we have some population, but for this population, we know some information about this one. That is, suppose assume that population mean is known to us. We know what is the mean of the population for the population. Know in the sense we have been given. Suppose if the problem is about discussing about the lifetime of a product manufactured by some particular company. Okay, what is the mean life? One way is the actual mean. Actual mean in the sense you take all the data and evaluate the mean. But instead, okay, I know this particular brand. The mean estimation is something like 2-3 years. 2 years. I said like this because I'm familiar with this brand and with this manufacturing company. Okay, so based on my previous experience, I will say that the mean life of the product will be 2 years. It is 2 years. Now, if some other person who is not known, who is not familiar with the same particular manufacturing company, whether he should trust this guy or whether he should accept the statement that proposed by the other person. Or at what level of confidence we can accept the given statement. The mean for the lifetime of the product is 2 years. So the testing of hypothesis here, what is the hypothesis? I have given the hypothesis. What is that? The mean lifetime of a product manufactured by a particular company is 2 years. That is the hypothesis I have given to you. Now, it is your job to test whether my hypothesis is accepted or whether my hypothesis has to be rejected. That is, you are basically testing my hypothesis. Okay. Okay, now. So what is the process then? Then mathematically, personally, if you believe some other person, okay, I believe this one, I believe the person, and his judgment is mostly almost right. So I will go with this one, and I will accept the statement. I will accept the hypothesis. But mathematically, that is not personal. That is your personal opinion. But mathematically or practically, that should not be the statement. That should not be the conclusion, right? We should have a process. So we should have some condition, mathematical conditions. If it satisfies certain conditions, then based on that one, we should accept it. That is a mathematical way, right? So again, what is the process? Again, the process is same. That is, we have to take a sample, a random sample. Okay, a random sample is known. And when it comes to the population of the mean, it is not necessarily mean always. It is maybe the variance of the population. Okay. In that case, it is basically a statistic. Okay. So in that case, I have to obtain the same information for the random sample. So random sample mean, we will evaluate. Population mean, let me represent with mu, and the sample mean, let me represent with x bar. Okay. Now, the difference between, suppose if mu is exactly equal to x bar, yes, of course, then maybe you may accept the hypothesis. Okay. But it is always not necessarily true, right? You will get mu is exactly equal to x bar. Population mean is exactly equal to all the sample means. Not necessarily to follow, right? In most of the cases. Okay. So there is something called, we are interested in evaluating the difference between the population mean and the sample mean. Population mean, there will be some difference will be there most of the cases. Okay, 99% of the cases there will be a difference between the population mean and the sample mean. Okay, so suppose if it is not exactly equal, should we reject the hypothesis? Suppose if I say the mean lifetime of the product is 2 years, and by calculation, suppose if you are getting the mean lifetime of the product is 2 years 1 month, should we or 1 year 11 months, should we reject the hypothesis? We are not that much rigid. Okay, so approximately the estimating or the testing a hypothesis is almostly an approximation, right? So the difference between the hypothesis, that is 2 years, and the difference between the sample mean, that is 2 years 1 month, is okay. Considerably, they are very close. They are very close, right? Or if the sample mean is 1 year 11 months, that is also a little closer. Okay, but less than the hypothesis, less than the given hypothesis, the mean lifetime of the product. Okay, so in those cases, what we can decide, we can accept the hypothesis with some confidence. 100% we cannot accept it. Why? Because there is a difference between the population mean and the sample mean that we have obtained. There is a difference, and in most of the cases, the difference will be there. Now, the question is about what is the tolerance, or at what level of confidence, if it is exactly equal, 100%, with 100% confidence that I can accept the given hypothesis. But most of the times it is different. Okay, there may be one sample which is maybe exactly equal, but if you take the other sample for this sample, it may be the different case. Population mean may not be same as the random sample mean. Okay, so in those scenarios, at what level of confidence that we can accept the hypothesis? Okay, or so based on that one, it is okay. That is what we basically will decide here. That is accepting or rejecting. Accept or reject the hypothesis. Accept or reject the hypothesis based on this some process, right? Suppose if the sample mean, if the population mean, if I have stated it is 2 years, and once if you evaluate the sample mean, if it is 1 year, if you are getting only 1 year, considerably there is a difference, right? There is a difference of 1 year. So mostly that times we may be able to reject. We can reject the hypothesis that mean lifetime of the product is not 2 years. It is not about the 1 year. Suppose if I say on some particular manufacturing company, the lifetime of your product is, suppose assume that it is 50 years. But when you are taking a sample, and if the sample mean comes, it's to be in the lifetime is, the average lifetime is 49 years. Comparatively, this one 50 years and 49 years, they are almostly same only, right? In a longer period. In a longer period, right? So it depends on the situation. At what, it is not about 1 year. If there is a difference of 1 year, we should reject, or if there is a difference of 1 month, we should accept it. Okay, it completely depends on the situation, problem to problem. Okay, we have to formulate certain things mathematically. So based on that one, we are going to conclude at what level. Suppose if we are here, acceptance is there, rejectance is there. Suppose if we are in case of acceptance, with what confidence, with what level of confidence we are accepting. In case of acceptance, at what level of confidence, or with what level of confidence that we can accept the given hypothesis. That is also we should mention. Suppose I will accept the hypothesis with 10% of confidence. What it means? Basically, you are rejecting. With 10% means that your confidence level is very less. That regarding, there is no difference between the population mean and the sample mean. Okay. So that also depends on the many other conditions, but since we are at the very basic level, many now we are not going to make the problem get complicated. We are going to have very we are going to just simply have a flavor of this kind of accepting the hypothesis or rejecting the hypothesis. Okay. Now at the same time, now come back to this estimation. Suppose you have the population mean mu. Okay, that is not known to us. But we have a sample, and from the sample we have obtained. So the sample mean is not known to us. Now we cannot suppose if we give exactly the population mean is same as the sample mean. Most of the cases it is not happening, right? It may not happen most of the cases. Okay, it is very rarely the sample mean will be equal to the population mean. So in those scenarios, in those situations, what we have to mention, what we have to give instead of mentioning that the population mean is same as the sample mean, what we can give, suppose if this is the sample mean, we can mention something, some region or some interval. So what we can say that the population mean mu will belongs to this interval, and this interval is called the confidence interval. This interval is called the confidence interval. And when we are mentioning the confidence interval, which means that there is something called level of confidence. Level of confidence generally we are going to mention in percentage. Okay, with 100% level of confidence means we are sure that there is no difference. Both are exactly same. Okay, with 90% level of confidence means yes, the population mean and the sample mean, they are very close, 99%. If you are saying that 99 level of confidence, then they are very close. Okay. So as the level of confidence decreases, like 70% or 80%, 60%, what will happen? Obviously, what will happen? Okay, the interval will become very small. Okay. Now, so instead of assigning the same value, what we can mention, the population mean will be belongs to the some interval of centered at this sample mean. Okay, that interval is generally what we call the confidence interval, and it is also called the estimation of confidence interval. We are estimating the population mean. We are mentioning that the population mean will be belongs to certain interval, okay, with some level of confidence. Estimation of confidence interval. Okay, so these are the major two things. In the rest of the unit we have to discuss about. I hope you understood the outline of what we are going to do in the case of estimation, and what we are going to do in the case of testing of hypothesis. And of course, in everything we have subcategories. Everything will come, different tests will come, and for everything we need to have a mathematical formulation, and that will be explained in the further classes. Now, okay. Now when it comes to the here also now suppose if you see here in the estimation, once you have the estimation of the confidence interval for some statistic of the population, which we are mentioning that this will be belongs to this interval. Okay. Now the second thing continues, means the testing of hypothesis continues. Suppose once you have mentioned that we can again test the same hypothesis. We can test the same hypothesis. Okay. So in the testing of hypothesis, there are basically we are going to have two different hypotheses. The one is called the null hypothesis. And another one is called the alternate hypothesis. These two are very important, and in each and every problem we have to decide what is null hypothesis and what is alternate hypothesis. So the null hypothesis means null hypothesis means suppose, as we have already seen, that we are basically in the previous we are basically having one population and one sample, and the same statistic we are dealing with. Finally, the question is whether the difference between them, the population statistic and the sample statistic, whether it can be is there any significant difference, or whether there is no significant difference. If there is no significant difference, we can accept it. If there is a significant difference, we have to reject it. Okay. In both the cases, we have something called certain level of confidence. Okay. So that is what we are. That is what we will be having here. Okay. So let me draw again. So we have, this is called the population mean is there, that is mu, and there is something, some statistic is there. Let me represent with the x bar. Okay. So basically the null hypothesis we generally denote with H naught. Okay. What it says, what it assumes there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference null hypothesis means there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference in the sense we are approximately, we are almost saying that the mu is equal to x bar. Or let me write it. Mu is approximate, almost equal to the x bar. Okay. And then we have something called the alternate hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis we generally represent with H1. It is opposite to the null hypothesis. That is, alternate hypothesis means there is a significant difference. There is a significant difference. Okay. Alternate hypothesis means an hypothesis which is different from the null hypothesis is called alternate hypothesis, and it is denoted with the H1. For example, the alternate hypothesis, for example, look at H0. The null hypothesis is the population has an assumed value of mean mu naught. Carefully read this sentence. Assumed value. That is what I have said now about the lifetime of your product manufactured by a certain company. That is my assumption. That is not the calculated value. That is not the calculated. That is an assumption based on some trust, based on some previous experiences. Okay. So that is here. If you suppose that if mu is the actual mean of the population, if mu is the actual mean of the lifetime of the products manufactured by a certain company, here in this case we are assuming that mu is same as mu. That is, there is no significant difference between the assumed value and the calculated value. Okay, this is one. This will become the null hypothesis for that particular problem. Now, what about the alternate hypothesis? What about the alternate hypothesis? The alternate hypothesis, it can be one thing straight away. Mu is not equal to mu naught. Mu is not equal to mu naught means the assumed value is different from the calculated value. Okay, or it can be sometimes it can be the calculated value is bigger than the assumed value, or sometimes the calculated value is less than the assumed value. Okay, so here in this case both the things are happening. Mu is bigger than mu naught or mu is less than mu naught. But in the remaining two things, only one of the thing is only happening. Either mu is bigger than mu naught or mu is less than mu naught. So the alternate hypothesis, basically it is opposite. It is against the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis assumes there is no significant difference, means they are almost same, whereas the alternate hypothesis is not H0. Mu is not equal. Mu is not mu naught in the sense mu may be bigger, mu may be smaller, or even if it is whatever the thing is happening, mu is bigger than or mu is bigger. In that case, that is also different case. Okay. So basically, the first one is called the two-tailed test or two-tailed alternative. This is what we call the two-tailed alternative. And these two are called the one-tailed alternative. One-tailed, and in particular, the second one is called the right-tailed alternative. And the third one is called the left-tailed alternative. So, which one we should consider? Whether we should consider the two-tailed test or the one-tailed. So here both of them we can mention it in one line. That is what called the one-tailed alternative. So which one we should consider, two-tailed or one-tailed? If you are considering one-tailed alternative, then whether should we consider the right or left? Okay, so that depends on the problem, and it will be once you solve certain problems, you will understand which one we should go for it. Okay, that depends on the problem. For the same problem, we can do. For the same problem, we can do using the two-tailed alternative or using the one-tailed alternative. But one-tailed alternative, it will be only unique. Either we have to go for the right or we have to go for the left. Okay. So it is about the null hypothesis and the alternate hypothesis, and these two hypotheses we need to make in the very starting of the each and every problem. Okay. Now the next thing is coming to the estimation of the confidence interval. Estimation of the confidence interval. Okay. And one more thing. So I will just explain, give the definition here, but we will discuss in the tomorrow class thoroughly about this one. There is something called test statistic. Test statistic. Okay. So the test statistic, particularly this is for large samples. Particularly for large samples. For large samples, suppose if T is any statistic, let T is any statistic, and obviously E of T is something what we call the corresponding population parameter, that is the mean of the test statistic. Okay, that is the expected value of the statistic. Okay, and of course V of T is basically the variance of that statistic. Okay, so for the large samples, when the n is infinite, when the n is going to infinite, so then in the central limit theorem we have seen the z is given by t minus x minus mu upon the square root of the variance approximately follows the standard normal distribution with the standard normal distribution. Right? This is by the central limit theorem we have already seen. Now it is about the variance. Sometimes what we are going to do, instead of this variance, square root of the variance, it will be approximated, and approximating the square root of the variance of the statistic with the SE of T. SE means here the standard error. So all these notions tomorrow we will see. What is the standard error in different cases? We will see tomorrow. Okay. Right now you understand. You just have an idea. But up to this one we have already seen in the central limit theorem, right? So in those, then approximating the square root with this one, then what will happen finally? Eventually, z is equal to t minus expected value of t upon the standard error of t. Okay, this follows the standard normal distribution. Okay, so basically it is actually the difference between the t and the actual t. It is the assumed value and it is the calculated value. Okay, that is mu minus x or x minus mu, whatever. Okay, so now here it comes what is called the confidence interval on the level of significance. Okay. This is what we call it as the level of level of significance. Level of significance generally will mentioned with alpha that belongs to 0, 1. Mostly 0 generally you want to 0 and 1 generally will omit. Alpha is equal to 1 means that is 100% confidence. Okay. Okay, right. So this is alpha is a level of significance generally we represent with alpha, that is a number, any number from 0 to 1. Okay. Now, as we have mentioned here, this follows a standard normal distribution, and we have already we know what is the standard normal distribution curve. Okay, with the mean mu. Suppose assume that in the first case, that is the first case in the sense two-tailed test, in the two-tailed test, we'll mention that the probability of mod z is bigger than z alpha is equal to alpha, or which is same as, that is the probability of mod z is less than or equal to z alpha is 1 minus alpha, right? So what is actually this one? Mod z means here the z means here the test statistic. This is what we call the test statistic. In the test statistic, what it is there? It is actually the difference between the guessed value, assumed value, and the calculated value. Okay. What we are mentioning here, the probability that the difference here modulus of z, absolute difference, the difference between the absolute guessed value and the normalized. With what normalizing with what? Normalizing with the standard error of the statistic. Okay. So that is less than or equal to some z alpha is equal to 1 minus alpha. Okay, where alpha is a number between 0 and 1. What is z alpha? Z alpha is a number here. If this is z alpha, then this is what we call the minus z alpha. It is their modulus, no? So if you expand the modulus, you will get minus z alpha is less than or equal to z is less than or equal to z. And what we are mentioning it here, so this is the probability that mod z is bigger than z alpha is alpha. That is the area of this region both together. Remember, okay, is together. It is alpha by 2 and it is also alpha by 2. Okay. Now the intermediate area here. What about this area? Obviously. What about this area? This area is 1 minus alpha. This is alpha by 2. This is alpha by 2. Together it is alpha, and we know that entire area has to be 1, and so and hence this area is 1 minus alpha. And this is what we call the accepted region, and this is what we call the rejected region. And of course, along with the since it is a two-tailed test, it will have two rejected regions, left side or on the right side also. And particularly these z alphas, this minus z alpha and this plus z alpha, they are called the critical values. They are called the critical values. Okay. So obviously, when mod z, if you are expanding this one, substituting this one and expanding the mod, this is minus z alpha. is less than or equal to t minus expected value of t upon the standard error of t is less than or equal to z alpha is equal to 1 minus alpha. Right? So obviously now basically we are mentioning that when the it is the expected value means the calculated value, and t is the assumed value. Now from this one, what you can say that the expected value is less than or equal to calculated value plus z alpha times standard error of t, and bigger than or equal to minus t minus z alpha times standard error of the t. Okay. So basically what we have said, this is the mu. This is the mu. So we have given a range that we are mentioning that the range of this lies between these two limits. So this is what we call the confidence interval. This is what we call the confidence interval for the population mean. And what is t? T is the sample mean. T is the sample mean. Okay. Now, with what level of confidence you can say that? With what level of confidence you can say that? What is the accepted region? Accepted region is this one. This is 1 minus alpha. So, with 1 minus alpha, we are mentioning, we should mention in terms of percentage, right? So 100 times 1 minus alpha percentage level of significance. Level of significance. And who will give this Z alpha values? Z alpha values will be obtained from the what is called Z alpha values will be obtained from the table, statistical tables. Okay. Now here, before starting the problem, we would like to evaluate what is called the estimate confidence interval. We need to estimate the confidence interval with what level of significance that should be known to us before starting the problem itself. With what level of confidence we should accept the given hypothesis, that is also it should be known to us. Okay. For example, if alpha is equal to 1, that is 1%. 1% means what is the value here? 0.01. 0.0. No. It is reverse. Okay. Suppose if you want to know 1% level of significance, what is the percentage of confidence interval? What is the confidence level? Confidence level will be here. This is level of significance. 1% level of significance means alpha is equal to what? 0.01 implies 100 times 1 minus 0.01. So that is how much it is? 0.99. So that is 100 times means 99. So that 99% confidence. Level of confidence. Okay. So now who will give these values? Now how to get these values Z alpha from the table? That is an important task. Okay. That is an important task. For example, so that is about the obtaining the confidence interval. Now how to get these critical values? As you can see, when the alpha is fixed, the Z alpha values are standard. Suppose if you want a 2% level of significance, 2%, then alpha is equal to 0.02 implies 100 times 1 minus 0.02, so that is 98% confidence, level of confidence. Okay, suppose if you want 10% level of significance, alpha is equal to 0.1 implies what you will get 90% level of confidence. Okay. Now the question is how to get these values Z alpha. That how to obtain the Z alpha values. It is not only for the standard normal variable. The process is also same for different other distributions also, which will be coming in the fourth sections. Okay. So it is 11:20. So I will wind up the section here. So tomorrow we will continue how to get what is the general procedure. Okay, and then we will start some of the problem, and of course we will also see the standard error of what are the different formulas for the standard to obtain the standard error, particularly for the large samples. Okay, so in the next class that is what we are going to discuss. So if you have any doubts, you are most welcome. Otherwise, we'll close the section. Thank you all. Any doubts? The theoretical sections are very much important than the sections where we are going to solve some of the only problems. If you do not understand this theory, particularly in this sampling theory on the statistics, whatever the problems you look at, it will look like a hell. Any doubts? Okay, seems to be no one has responded, so we'll close the section. Thank you all. We'll meet day after tomorrow.